Welcome to Monarch Academy. Today I want to talk with you about teaching with your state standards. Every state has a Department of Education. Take time to go to their website and check out their ELA standards for your state. I want to share with you the way that Monarch Educational Services have built all of their curricular resources. We've used the North Carolina Department of Public Instruction's Common Core standards. That means that I've had this opportunity to go to the North Carolina Standard Course of Study and pull out and connect all assignments, activities, and performance-based assessments to our state standards. When you pull up all of the resources, and you're not from North Carolina because we have our readers all over, then what you can do is you can use our North Carolina state standards to be able to kind of give you that indication of how you can match it to your standards, because I guarantee they're probably very similar. So take that as an opportunity to be able to have that foundation and that focus to then be able to quickly go to your standards and then copy paste your objectives into the lessons. So I want to share with you some things to notice as you're going and looking at your state standards. I'm going to share my screen, and I already have all of these pulled up. So when I went to Google, I just typed in North Carolina DPI state standards for ELA. And once I get to that main page, then you'll be able to see all of the grade levels. But I want to share with you what you can find. I am sharing the entire screen with you. Okay, so first, on our pacing guide, I have linked the NCDPI Unpacking Standards document, and I'm going to talk about why I really like that document instead of the other. So let me show you the first one. Okay, this one is the whole North Carolina Standard Course of Study ELA, and it starts with kindergarten, and you just have to scroll. You can do a find down at the bottom, and you can type in grade 6, and you can go, uh-oh, I'm almost there. I'm at grade 5. And there we are. You can see these are the reading standards for literature. So for all of our Monarch novels, I have pulled from these standards. If you keep scrolling, then you're going to see reading standards for informational text. Now, when we build our text sets at Monarch, we are looking at how can we connect our literature to the text sets, the informational text and materials. So you will see these standards start to show up. Whereas a reading for literature, your novel unit, that's going to have an RL in front of it. That L stands for literature. When you see the RI, that's reading for informational text. So RI means that that is the nonfiction supplements that we're using for Monarch. Then we have our writing strands. There are 6 objectives underneath every writing strand for the grade 6-12. Then you have your speaking and listening strands. And then you scroll down and you have your language strand. Then you have your language grammar continuum and conventions. And then you move into 7th. I will show you the documents that I really do like to work with, and I spend most of my time in the unpacking document. So this is one for grade 6. If you scroll down, you'll already see it. It's right there. So you can bookmark these, or you can put them in a folder. You can download them and put them in a folder. And I want you to pay close attention, for example, to standard 1. So this one must be RL because it's reading for literature, and then it's going to be standard 1. It's going to be grade 6.1. So that's how you look at it. So this is going to be the objective. Read closely to determine what the text says explicitly and to make logical inferences from it. Cite textual evidence when writing or speaking to support conclusions drawn from text. Well, if you move over to 7th grade, And this is if you have multiple grade levels that you're working with at a time in your group. You can see, wait a minute, that one looks pretty much the same. Now let's move over to 8th grade. And when you move, then you can see, wow, when speaking to support conclusions drawn from the text. Now let's go to 9-10. 9-10 has a grade band. Wow, do you notice the same kind of verbiage here? Now, let's go to 11-12. And we're going to talk about what do we notice here. So as we see, if you pay close attention to 11 and 12, is pretty much the same. So what does that do for us as educators? It allows us to go in and look at what groups we have, what grade level. So if we have a 9th grade and a 12th grade homeschooler, well, if the standard is the same, what is different? And that is the level of text complexity that you're bringing to the table. So then you need to make sure that the text sets that you are working with are grade level appropriate and are challenging your students with lexile and task. That is very helpful for you when you're saying, well, I want my students to cite and collect evidence. What can I do? You can use our graphic organizer, the evidence collector. That evidence collector can stay with them throughout their novel study unit and allow them to bridge from informational text back to the novel. And your standard is asking students to cite specific textual evidence. And you want to help your student to be able to delineate between weak and strong evidence. So when you're first starting out with this standard with your student, allow them to collect evidence and then teach them ways to assess and reflect upon the evidence that they've collected and ask those questions. Is this the strongest support that you could find? How does it, impact the larger picture? Why does it matter? So when you look at, for example, determine the central ideas or the themes of a text and summarize, you're going to see this same type of objective from 11th and 12th grade band. And let's just move all the way back down to the 6th grade. Summarize, determine central ideas and themes. But what is it about this document that I like the most? And this is it. When you see the standard here, you will see that this is the one we talked about, textual evidence, right? Well, look at the glossary over here. Words that your students should be able to know, and these are content tier 2 words. You can also look at clarification. So in the classroom, it gives you tips. Now, I teach the ACEs protocol. They give an example here of APE protocol. It is pretty much the same thing, but we like to use ACEs when we're in Monarch. And the C stands for cite instead of proof because we are using that exact word straight out of the standards. And that is how we've built a lot of our materials too, is how do they align with our state standards, but what makes them unique to us at Monarch? What are ways that we like to build our literacy strategies? So let us look at that next one that we talked about, writing a summary of the text. So you can see there are words on the side for the glossary, but it also gives you an idea of here, look, don't forget to model how key details in a text can help to develop that summary. It also gives tips to make sure that students are writing an objective summary, so they will no longer use I or my. In my opinion, this is what I liked. So they're moving away from that kind of language when they get to 6th grade, and they're writing a formal summary. So I really like this unpacking document, and they have them for every grade level. And as you can see, when you scroll down from this point of the standard, from RL, then you're going to move to RI. And remember, RL was literature, RI is informational text. And so let's look at the difference here. So you can see textual evidence is still here. Theme is still here, central idea, summary, the interactions between individuals, events, and ideas. And let's just scroll back up because I want to show you the connection here. Analyze how particular elements of a story or drama interact. So we're talking about interactions made in novel work to interactions made in nonfiction. So once you get hold of all of your standards, when you're planning lessons, activities, assessments, this is a great foundation for you to go back and just grab hold of these. You can print them out, you can highlight them, you can keep them in a notebook, you can keep them in a digital portfolio for yourself, just so you can go back and look at some of the clarification in the classroom. What could it look like? Remember about the glossary and words that you'll need, that your students will also need to be able to access these standards, and talk about the standards with your student. This is something that I did before all lessons. We would talk about the standards. Why does it matter? Why are we teaching this? How does it connect to the bigger picture? And students had access also to these standards. And in class, that's a great opportunity for you to show the relevance to building on grade to grade bands. So when a student is in 6th grade, when they're introduced to this, you can explain to them that throughout the course of their secondary experience, they're going to be dealing with these similar types of standards. The texts are going to become more complex as they move up into their grade band. That means that once they get a strong foundation, their analysis skills for literature will then just go with them. Literacy strategies will go with them novel to novel, step by step. So it's really worth your time to go to your state standards and really just check all of them out for your grade level for ELA. And understand that I've done all of this work for you too, as far as North Carolina state standards go. And I want you to feel confident that the materials that we're providing, Monarch Educational Services, do align to the standards and challenge your students when dealing with our complex novels. All right, I hope that this video has been helpful. I hope that you guys have a wonderful day.